That was the Pan-African Orchestra. Fantastic stuff. And those of you who don't know, the instruments include the xylophone, the flute, and some other very interesting Ghanaian instruments. And why are you looking at me like that? The xylophone, the flute, one looks like a calabash. You know, and I was really nostalgic because when I worked at Universe in the year 2000, this was the soundtrack for our news bulletin. So when you hear this, you have to go and read the news whether you are ready or not. So Pan-African Orchestra, thank you for doing this. Hope you can come back and do something equally nice. So it's time to hear from a man we have been all waiting for. And in spite of all the things said about him, he's a very simple man. He's our finance minister, and we're very proud of him. Please put your hands together for Ken Ofori.
Thank you very much. Good. Is it still morning, or have we moved on? Thank you, Madam Ambassador, Chairman, colleague, ministers, deputy ministers, and all of you distinguished people. I think we've heard enough speeches for today. So I would just really would like to thank MTN for making this courageous move, because I think when we started the conversations, it sounded a bit ridiculous or incredulous to them. They had not done it anywhere else and were worried about its potential effect. But I mean, I felt very strongly that we were in the new regime, and as Africans, we should be asking why and why and why. And by the fifth time, you have no answers, and you realize that, you know, the basis of your decision are not quite right. And then obviously, I mean, the joy in which you are talking about these firsts is indicative that everybody is going to be a winner today and the years that are ahead. So thanks again for the courage to do that. It's interesting for me because in, I guess, 1990, when we launched the Ghana Stock Exchange, there were only 11 or so companies to sort of ring fence against all of that choppiness. So that in the end, we ended up, you know, looking for maybe 1.5 billion and ended up with $8 billion worth of investors. We ended up taking 2 billion of that. And that really begins to show what Mr. Grant is trying to illustrate, that, you know, there's something new about the country, and it's really up to us to drive this on. So I'm really encouraged by this, and we worked with IC Securities for the bond issue, and I'd like to congratulate you for this one too. It's just wonderful to see the whole Ghanaian setup doing that. So thanks for that. The finance director talked about, you know, our president and his speech at Oxford. But I think, you know, what he really, the vision for this issue of Ghana beyond aid or Africa beyond aid is how do you create a self-confident and prosperous society in which we are all participating, you know, in ensuring that your fellow citizen has access like everybody else, and that we put poverty behind us. So we are trying to get this narrative for every Ghanaian to begin to feel different, to feel confident and strong about himself. And what the Minister of Finance is trying to define as how do you create a wise society, W-I-S-E, a wealthy, inclusive, sustainable, and an empowered people. And I think if we all internalize that, we really will see the black star that we're all looking for. So let's continue in this to, I guess, remain bright, your bright strategy, and truly believe that we are a unique continent and we can do it. You know, by 2050, we're going to be a quarter of the world's population, $2.5 trillion, 1.3 billion people. You have to deal with Africa. But we have to position ourselves that we are the drivers of it. You know, so let's even change this whole concept of local content into foreign content. We own our continent, and then we call somebody to join, not the other way. And I think we'll be that great continent that we all aspire for. So let me just say thank you to all of you. Government will keenly support you in what you do. Without technology, we can't make it. We were in Korea last week, and it was really clear that it's about the human capital that we have to build and technology to support that. So I think really your responsibility as a corporate citizen will be how do you apply this technology to make sure that we break, you know, this poverty gap. I mean, we can use technology to ensure that the education matrix and the pedagogy changes so that everybody has that access and opportunity. And it can be done. We've already started speaking with people like the Khan Academy and Facebook, etc. I think we should join to really transform education. And once we transform our people, you know that the sky is the limit. So government thanks you. Government looks forward to working with you very closely to make significant changes in our economy and for the benefit of our people. So, you know, and government cannot do it all. And that's why we need you. Recently, also, I guess I just came back a couple days ago, and there's a whole lot of noise about some platform services that are going on. And I think people have also brought up the issue of data protection. But these are all things that, you know, we can find cures to without getting very political, you know, about them. And I think it's incumbent on the telcos to be able to provide, you know, solutions if somebody is really worried about data protection, etc. Because we need to do that. Facebook is doing that. Everybody is beginning to find a solution to. But the issue of monitoring is important. This is not the first place that is going to be done. And we should, you know, marshal ourselves as a people for a certain direction to make sure that the nation, you know, moves ahead. So on this occasion, I have this great privilege to formally launch the IPO of MTN. I wish to congratulate all of you for opening the door of opportunity to Ghanaians to share in the risk and successes of this great company. I really wish you well and look forward to a very successful launch. Thank you very much.
So he's launched it, but we're not done with the launching. This is just part one of the launching. So that contraption to your right and to my left is actually neatly put together to contain something very beautiful. So we're going to respectfully ask Ken again, accompanied on the government side by Deputy Minister George Anda, and then Yofi, GIPC, and then the two regulators to go to one side of the beautiful contraption. And then we have from the MTN side, Eben, Ralph, and Mr. Yamson to come to the other side. So please make your way up there. We're going to unveil something very important, and that would be the physical launch. So we've done the literal launch. We are now going to physically launch it. Yes. So my advice is that, Eben, you take one side of the rope, and then Ken, the minister, will take the other side. The rest of us will support them. And the advice is to pull the rope slowly and gently, because if you pull it too fast, it will not open. you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Wow. I think you should go on because I don't have power. So you were helping me with the phantom from keep going until I get power. We have just one last. Yeah. Wow, thank you for saving me. Fantastic. So we knew the launch of this IPO will send shock waves down the continent. We didn't know the waves would be so strong as to take out the power. So MTN, please slow down for us because this is serious electricity. Took out the power for like 2 minutes. But we're very excited. Acknowledge a few more people, and as we do that, we share the prospectus that was unveiled. Make sure you get one. Quick acknowledgement, we have the MD of Barclays, Mrs. Patience Achianu, here with us. Please acknowledge their presence with a round of applause. Thank you, madam. We also have Mr. John Ewua. He's the MD of UMB. John, please put your hands together for Mr. Ewua. And how can I forget our own Hassan Ayariga? He's the founder of the APC. Please put your hands together for Mr. Hassan Ayariga. Thank you. When MTN calls, everybody responds. It's fantastic. So now we've come to a very important part of the program. We've left almost the best for last because now we need to understand what's going to happen. And we've been hearing of them, IC Securities. They are young Ghanaian guys, but please don't underestimate them. They are sharp. And we're privileged to have the MD, Kwabena Owusu-Boateng. He will bring us a speech. After that, as a journalist, I will grill him with a few questions on this. So please put your hands together for Kwabena Owusu-Boateng. He's a CEO. Yes, he's a big man. Kwabena, please put your hands together for Kwabena.
Kwabena Owusu-Boateng.
Forgive me.
Phew. We have launched. I think it's been 3 years, 3 months, and about 15 days. For those of you who know investment banking, we sent in our pitch on Valentine's Day 2015. And you can imagine trying to convince your significant other that instead of going for dinner, you are doing some presentation work. But we thank God for today. We thank God for the journey, and we thank God for today. Honorable Minister of Finance, thank you for your presence. Deputy Ministers of Finance and Communications, heads of regulatory institutions, including the jovial bow-tie-wearing ones, Her Excellency, South African High Commissioner to Ghana, MTN board members, MTN group executives, executives of MTN Ghana, MTN staff, potential investors, even including the MD of the Ghana Stock Exchange, who has now committed to buying some shares. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, members of the media, today is really an historic day in the development of Ghana's capital markets. The launch of the initial public offer of MTN Ghana, one of Ghana's best-known brands, is quite a remarkable event. We hope that this landmark transaction will serve as a catalyst for other listings on the Ghana Stock Exchange in the near term. I'm particularly thankful to MTN Group and to the board, management, and staff of MTN Ghana for their focus and determination and the hard work they have put in to make this transaction a reality. What I want to do here today is to give you some important information about the IPO. As Mr. Ebenezer Asante said earlier, the offer period opens today. It's just opened at 12:30, today the 29th of May, and it's open until 5 p.m. the 31st of July 2018. Once the offer period has ended, applications will be reviewed, collated, and allotment will commence. In the spirit of localization, the allotment period gives clear priority to Ghanaian institutional and individual investors. It is important that potential investors subscribe during the offer period, because once the offer period is ended, any applications will not be processed or even considered. Now, who is the offer open to? Natural persons who are 18 years and older who live in Ghana or in any place where the sale of MTN shares is lawful. But it's also open to corporates, associations, other institutions incorporated in Ghana or anywhere else where the sale of MTN shares is lawful. Now that the offer period has commenced, all those interested can acquire MTN Ghana shares through a number of channels. And we've spent quite a bit of time today talking about mobile money. We're particularly excited that the SEC has given us approval to use mobile money to subscribe for shares. It's quite simple. Just dial *170#. The MTN GH share offer prompt will come up, and follow a very simple prompt to buy shares. This innovation, as Mr. Ebenezer Asante said earlier, is quite exciting because it's the first time ever anywhere in the world that this is being used, and it's open to individual applicants. Corporate and individual applicants can also apply through other channels. You can go to the website, mtnghanashares.com. You can go to regional offices of MTN Ghana, and you can also use the traditional channels that we all know and love through IPOs. So you can go to any of the receiving banks, there are 15 of them, or any licensed stockbroker or licensed dealing member of the Ghana Stock Exchange. Now, the great thing about applying through mobile money is that you don't even have to fill an application form. It's really quite simple. If you choose to do it another way, then you can apply online and fill the application form online, or you can fill a physical application form either at the offices of the receiving banks or any of the receiving agents, as shown in the prospectus. Now, when you get chosen to speak last at an event like this, you get concerned that everything you're going to say will have been said by somebody else. But thankfully, nobody has mentioned the price of the offer. And I think people have prospectuses, so they've probably seen it now. The price of the offer is 75 Ghana pesos, chosen so that we can broaden the distribution of this offer and allow as many Ghanaians as possible to participate in this transaction. The minimum amount is 10 MTN Ghana shares, which means that if you want to subscribe, the minimum you would have to pay is 7 Ghana cedis and 50 pesos. And we feel at that level, we can encourage and invite Ghanaians all across the country, from Wa to Ho to Takoradi, everywhere, to subscribe in this transaction. Payment for shares may be made by cash, debit, card, or check, but we encourage you to use mobile money. And in the case of oversubscription, again, as I was saying earlier, we will give priority to Ghanaian investors. Now, Seth Asante is in the room, and if I don't give you some terms and conditions, he will crucify me. So I would like to take this opportunity to say to you that all of the terms and conditions of this offer are in the prospectus. I think a few people have some copies. This prospectus can be obtained at the website, mtnghanashares.com. You can get it at the regional offices of MTN. You can get it at the branches of any of the 15 receiving banks, and I think 4 of them are even outside. So after this program, you can go outside and they'll have prospectuses for you, and you can even start the sign-up process. You can also get it at the offices of any of the licensed dealing members of the Ghana Stock Exchange. I think there are 21 of them at the last count. But even more slickly, you can dial *533# and you'll get a link to download the prospectus. So really, you can do all of this through your phone. We encourage investors to read the prospectus carefully and rely exclusively on the information that is in it. Investors should seek expert advice. Come to IC Securities if you want expert advice. Come to any of the other licensed dealing members of the Ghana Stock Exchange before you decide to buy the shares. Now, once again, I'd like to express our heartfelt gratitude to MTN Group and Ghana. We're humbled, we're honored for the opportunity to act as the lead manager, sponsoring broker, financial advisor on a transaction such as this. We haven't done this alone. We've worked with South Capital, we've worked with Sentinel Global, we've worked with Benti Enchil, Lecha and Ankoma, we've worked with KPMG, and we have appreciated the collaborative effort that we've put together to make this transaction a success. I'll be remiss without mentioning the good people of MTN Ghana and the staff who have gone through a lot of effort to make this transaction successful as we are today. We've talked a lot about the regulators. So the NCA, the SEC, the Ghana Stock Exchange, we couldn't have done this without you. We are trying to break new ground. We're trying to innovate. And without you, we would not have been able to do that. So we thank you. Now, to the receiving banks and receiving agents, the licensed dealing members, there's quite a lot of work ahead. We cherish what we have built with you so far, but we look forward to making sure that we work with you and collaborate with you to make this transaction a success. Now, if you forget everything I've said, then just remember 2 things. 1, go to mtnghanashares.com. You'll get all the information you need on this. Or even more simply, just dial *533#. Again, you'll get as much information as you want. So please, all the channels are now open since it's past 12:30. Read the prospectus carefully. Go forth and buy the shares. Thank you very much.
Not so fast, not so fast, not so fast. So, Kwabena, please take this mic. So, Kwabena, say.
Amen.
Please give me a mic. Great. So, we just need to ask you a couple of quick questions, right? So, why this IPO, and more importantly, what is different? How different is this from the others, like the Talos and the ones we've mentioned in the past?
Sure, Bernard. Thank you for that question. I think there are 2 principal reasons for the IPO, and both of them have been elaborated on in the various speeches we've had today. The first is obviously to satisfy the 4G LTE requirements of MTN. But the second, and I believe, at least as a Ghanaian, I would say the more important, is to encourage and to invite Ghanaians into the shareholding of MTN. I think it is important to be able to say as a company that the environment in which you work and you deliver your success and manage your risks has more and more stakeholders. And this transaction allows Ghanaians to do that.
Somebody said we are hoping to get 1 million. Finance Minister is saying 5 million. How do you intend to get the message to the whole country? Because that means you're looking at people in even the minutest, tiniest village.
The sample space for the transaction is 17 million, so we'll go after all of them. Now, there are a few things. The first is the first is the fact that we have set the offer price at the level that we feel will be affordable by most Ghanaians. So at 75 pesos per share, but 7 Ghana cedis, 50 pesos as a minimum amount, we feel most people should be able to acquire it. The second is that between ourselves, between MTN Ghana and other stakeholders, there is a lot being done in marketing to ensure that this is being heard, seen, and is available to everyone across the country. So for example, we're having this event today here. There will be similar events in all the regional capitals of the country over the next 2 weeks.
Oh.
There's a lot going on social media. I believe you told us earlier that we're being beamed out live on radio and TV. There you will see billboards, you will see flyers. There is a lot going on to ensure that Ghanaians really can do this. Now, the final thing I should mention, and we've talked about it earlier, is allowing people to use mobile money to buy this.
Ejuma mi yenti dane den nyina me boma pomuden ho ba eno nti me ne mebusua de Jerry Fantu mojedro ene ne capsules ne boy ho ba Enyanindro ahodo a eboama nipadua nyini from ahye Jerry Fantu mojedro ne capsules mu ma enti me kanfo Jerry Fantu mojedro ma
Mami na
capital markets and what it means for economic development. At roughly 10 billion Ghana cedis of market cap, this will represent about 13% of the market cap of the Ghana Stock Exchange, and that's significant. That means visibility for the stock exchange. If we get 5 million subscribers, that means improvement in liquidity. That means returns, higher returns on the stock exchange, and that's good for development of Ghana. For MTN itself, it gives it the opportunity to, I think the word used was localize and democratize. So it has more and more locals as members of its shareholding. So now we can use Accra Sports Stadium for our next AGM. It allows it to raise capital for the business from Ghanaians. And from a group perspective, it really signifies its belief and confidence in Ghana. And I think those are some of the benefits that this transaction brings.
Thank you very much, Kwabena Osei. Please put your hands together for Kwabena one more time. Thank you. And if we missed anything, we have a short video to make sure you don't get confused. It's less than 2 minutes.
Our doors are open for Ghanaians to own shares in Ghana's #1 network. The MTN Ghana share offer is open from 29th May to 31st July 2020. Own shares in Ghana's #1 network. The MTN Ghana share offer is open from 29th May to 31st July 2018. Buy your MTN Ghana shares at 75 Ghana pesos per share. Shares must be purchased in multiples of 10 with a minimum purchase of 7 Ghana cedis, 50 pesos. Dial *170# and select option 7 to buy through MTN Momo, or buy online at mtnghanashares.com, or visit selected MTN Ghana branches, IC Securities Ghana Limited, any of our selected banks, or any licensed stockbroker of the Ghana Stock Exchange to buy your MTN Ghana shares or to pick up a copy of the printed prospectus. You can also dial *533# or visit mtnghanashares.com to access the prospectus. Please read the offer prospectus and seek appropriate expert advice before deciding to participate in the offer.
Everywhere you meant, all journalists, please wait behind in this room for your press briefing. Those of you who want to buy shares now, we've set out some booths outside. Make sure you're there to talk to them. And the rest of us, we have drinks and food. Thank you for being here. On behalf of the organizers, have a great day and see you at the next meeting at the Accra Sports Stadium as part of the 5 million. My name is Bernard Avle. Have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.